It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stand.
And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight, and look who's back.
I'm back in the cabin.
Back in the saddle again. How's it feel?
Yeah, it's good to be in the seat.
And not good to be back home, huh?
Right?
That's what the Up North will do to you.
I tell you what, being above the bridge for a week was just was awesome. We talked last Sunday night, and then to tell you the truth, when we were talking last Sunday night, we had the bad weather coming through, as you heard on the show, the rain and the lightning and thunder. And then after that, it was good the rest of the week. And then it was cooled down a little bit. The humidity came way down, which was really nice. So it made every day tolerable, and getting out on the water and the sun. And it was a good week. Had some visitors. We talked about, got some pictures of them.
Yeah, we're going to share them here in a few minutes. So,
but overall, seeing the trail cam pics that I was able to get for the week, I liked it. Encouraging. Liked to see the fawns.
Okay.
Saw some other fawns out there, but
you see any bucks in velvet?
Oh yeah. We seen some spikes. Looked to be the beginning of about a 6-point right now.
Okay.
He was standing right by the bridge when we came in the one evening, I think. And but yeah, definitely saw bucks in velvet, which was nice. Little spikes, mostly like a 4-pointer, maybe a 6-pointer type thing.
Okay.
But they still got 2 months of growing season, so
right on. Okay.
He can grow up a little bit bigger and
body wise, 1.5, 2.5.
Probably being that deer, it'll probably be a 2.5.
Okay.
He fits the mold.
All right.
To be a 2.5 up there. Body wise, the deer all looked fairly healthy. Mm-hmm. The summer look skinny thing going on, but no, it was good. The water, getting out on the water was nice. Just floating around, a little windy, but to deal with it. 4th of July had it was a good relaxing time.
So most of your time spent was, like we talked last time, is getting up there, surveying the situation, trying to figure out where you're at with logging, how that's regenerated. We talked about that last week and showed that. Food plots, kind of getting did you draw any soil for soil?
You know what?
Samples?
I did not draw any soil samples. I might at Labor Day when I go back up there, because I'm going to grab the wheat that was commented that I should use. Mm-hmm. I'm going to mow it and throw it.
Mow and throw.
As what it was said.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do for this year, which, like I said, dude, I was quite ecstatic to see something growing.
Right.
So anything after that's a bonus.
Right. No, that's good.
And that one field, we saw deer in it pretty much every evening.
Okay.
So encouraging.
That's good. Now, kind of after that, from what I gather, I think you probably did a little more fishing than anything else.
It was fish, sit by the fire, repeat.
Okay. Fish, sit by the fire, and repeat.
Oh, throw in a drive there. We went for a drive every evening on the Ranger, and Yep.
So sit by the fire.
Sit by the fire. And there wasn't really many fireworks up there to begin with, anyways.
Well, that looks like a pretty good firework right there.
Well, that was the best firework. The Michigan state bird, the mosquito, was not. Actually, he was probably the worst the last Thursday evening and Friday morning.
Okay.
He was starting to get bad.
A little agitated?
Yeah. So I'm thinking it probably fits about a week out from rain and stuff. So.
Okay. So it was fish.
Sitting there.
Fire,
that was that's in the evening.
Okay.
In the morning, we'd sit and have coffee and stare at the woods and watch things come alive.
Okay. What I want to know, we just threw a picture up here on the live stream. What happened?
Okay, so
the dock is a little low.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't supposed to be swimming. Would you consider that swimming?
No, I see your fishing rod in your hand.
So you asked me last week of how the reservoir was, and I hadn't been over there yet. Mm-hmm. So we headed over there on Monday, and we were on the back side first, and the water seemed okay.
Okay.
You know, I was like, okay, looks normal. But now when we came over to the boat launch, now that typically is above water.
I would hope so.
But it seems to be that it's about 6 inches underwater at the end. And there'll be times in the fall, if we go over there, that you'll see that's 2, 3, 4 feet above water.
Right.
Right? So right now the reservoir is high. They'll drain it by September.
But you think this is from that big flood that they had?
I think it's a combination. And plus, last weekend when we were on the show, they're having more rains and stuff in the area, so it probably has everything to do with that. But boats were able to launch and everything, so people are heading out fishing and boating. So
that's a mighty fine hat you got on there.
That's my sun hat.
Yeah,
that's my mossy oak sun hat. I tell you what, buddy, I am not burning these ears off.
Yeah. No, you look like you was ready to go to a party.
I tell you what, I was covered in a big hat and lots of suntan.
Did you catch any fish?
I caught a couple small ones. Deb actually caught the biggest one. She caught about a 15-inch pike.
Okay.
Kelly caught a couple. I caught a couple. Didn't catch what we caught last year, though. Not sure why.
Do you think that's because of the rain, the water, the high water?
No, it's because I think the lady at the store that told Deb it's a bad week of fishing because of the calendar said so was right.
Okay.
She had one of those fishing calendars or something.
Okay, so it said that
it said fishing wasn't going to be good till like tomorrow, next Monday. And okay, maybe she's right.
So it's like a farmer's almanac. You got the fish almanac?
I think it was or something like that. So lo and behold, we did some fishing. There's actually some other boats out there, and they weren't catching anything either. So
okay,
but it was a good time.
All right,
and then if you go to the eagle pick there.
Okay.
While I was fishing there.
Okay, this was taken from while you were fishing.
Yes.
Okay.
Deb had the regular the Canon camera, and 2 eagles decided to fly the length of the reservoir, and they started from our right and moved to our left. And we actually seen a juvenile earlier in the week, but then these 2 came over.
I remember you talking about that.
And I tell you what, that is just a magnificent bird to see.
Yeah, those things are huge. In the photos, it's kind of hard to get perspective of just how big they are. But
oh, it is, and he was quite a distance out, or she. And basically, they were just doing circles the length up and down, and they just kept going.
Think they were fishing?
I'm pretty sure they were fishing.
Okay, didn't know. See, I'm trying to remember the time of year for the mating ritual. I think it's right around the middle of June to July-ish.
Oh, okay.
I think.
So yeah, no, it was they were fishing the way they were separated, and they were just kind of doing their slow all the way down.
Okay, so it wasn't like doing they'll do a power climb,
right? No,
and the one would be way up there. They'll want to power climb up, and then all of a sudden they'll lock up and tumble through the air.
Right? No, it was they were scanning the waters.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was. So it was always good to see them. Makes a highlight.
But they must not have read the calendar either.
Yeah,
because they didn't catch anything, I assume.
I didn't see them catch anything, so maybe they didn't.
Okay, just wondering. All right. Well, so all in all, good week.
Absolutely. All in all, a good week. Good week to get up there, re-energize, come back to the race.
Okay. You ready to go back to the race?
No.
Speaking of race, I know we talk about the outdoors.
Right.
But did you happen to hear about the race last night?
I watched it last night.
Our local kid, Eric Jones here from Byron, Michigan. I mean, literally a stone's throw the next town over.
Absolutely. He won his first race.
Won the Firecracker 400, whatever sponsor it is now, but down in Daytona. So
it used to be the Firecracker.
Yeah.
That was for many years.
It's still the Firecracker to me.
It is. And I tell you what, it was good. It was actually an exciting race, not to go off into the race subject, but somebody got what he deserved.
Yeah, that's what I kind of heard.
Yeah.
I kind of heard. I heard bits and pieces of it throughout the night. But I just want to give a quick shout out to, the kid. He's just a young kid, man. He's 21, 22. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of come up fast through the circuit. And actually, I got to do some work last year for one of his sponsors. I followed him around for a day for Reese's Fine Foods or Gourmet Foods or whatever it was.
Okay.
Reese's Supermarket.
Yeah.
They do the packaged food. And got to follow him around for a day. Back at his hometown, he had a picnic, come home, and they put on a picnic for the whole town. So I got to chase him around, shoot video.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
But big shout out to him. Nice. Very nice. Watching a young man chase his dreams and become successful.
Yeah, he did. He won it. It was pretty good.
Hey, a quick shout out to Chris Schnur and Lincoln Roan who were on. Before we go to break here, Lincoln said that for all of our Michigan listeners, make sure this week, I believe it's the 12th.
Which is Thursday.
NRC meeting. Get out to the NRC meeting. Michigan NRC is going to be making their policy rules for the upcoming deer season in a couple weeks. So this, I believe, is probably the last opportunity for the public to speak directly to them.
Because they make it in August.
So, and this one is in Lansing. Yep, Thursday in Lansing. Yep, that's what he just said. So make sure if you've got the opportunity to get over there, make your voices be heard, get in front of that panel, sign up, and get your name in.
Absolutely.
And I think you have to pre-register for that. Check online if you can, and check that out. Any of the Michigan deer hunting forums. If you're not part of the Michigan Deer Hunters, Let Them Go, Let Them Grow, get over there, get to be a part of that. A lot of good information over there as well. And they can hook you up to where you can sign up to get out there and speak and let the NRC know how you feel about these proposed changes that are coming.
Yep, and then after that, we'll see what happens.
Let the chips fall where they may, and if they fall where they want them, what they've said they're going to do, we will manage our own property and deer accordingly.
Exactly.
So that's one thing they can't do is stop you from doing that. So
exactly.
But
Billy Hoffman landed last night.
I don't want to hear about it. He just came back from Hawaii.
So then he went and shot in the state championships with a 6-hour jet lag, and needless to say, he's not a champ. You think?
It's funny how that works.
Right? And Daniel Preston, hey, what's happening?
That must be why I didn't shoot so well in the backyard today.
Jet lag?
No, not jet lag, just work lag.
Work lag of the week.
Yeah. Last night.
It happens.
I got home at 2:30 in the morning, so it was...
Is that when you got home last night?
Yeah, it was a 14-hour work day that started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, yeah, long day. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take our first break, and when we come back, you got a few more pictures here you'd like to show.
Yeah, just got a few more to wrap up the week, some interesting things that are off the camera.
So, all right, we're going to step outside, folks, real quick, and take a break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back to the second segment of the show, everybody. For those of you on the live stream, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight.
Absolutely. You looked... I totally just... I went lag there. Yeah, tuning in to the live stream, joining us on the live stream. If you're listening to us on the podcast, hope you're enjoying it. And if you missed this episode, tonight on Facebook, we'll repost it on Wednesday this week.
On YouTube.
It'll be back to normal on YouTube on Wednesday.
Right on.
So absolutely, get out there. Billy Hoffman's asking, Dan, have you guys looked into any cellular cams for up north? Yeah, well, it'd be nice if you could get signal. Signal is the issue. Signal strength is the issue.
Right. We've talked about it a little bit here on the show. Working with some guys, we're trying to put together a little something. And let me just say that they're working on things that will work kind of like Wi-Fi.
Right.
And
we talked about that, and we've talked about it often.
Yeah.
It's just like Wi-Fi. You got to be so close to the hotspot, right?
Yep. They're still working and trying to develop this technology. And that's about all I can say about it right now.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
They're actively working on it.
If you look at our property, and as far as signal strength go, you go from no signal to decent signal, which would be up in the hardwoods. Now, what that can do for a camera, I'm not sure. The only problem I would have probably is it might grow legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got 4 cameras out right now that I was like,
really, you're up there. You're worried about somebody taking them?
I had a 2-man tree stand walk off.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So it wouldn't surprise me.
But then again, here in Michigan, we call them absentee landowners. You don't live on the property.
Yep.
And being that we live downstate, for me, it's 2.5 hour drive to camp. For you, it's even further.
8 hours.
So, I try to get to camp at least once a month in the downtimes. And actually, I haven't been to camp since middle of May, late May, I believe. So it's been a month and a half, almost 2 months since I've been to camp. Things can happen if you're not there.
I one year went up there. I bought a brand new 2-man stand.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kelly were going to hunt out of it. We put it up. We hunted out of it. I unbuckled it just to relax it for the year, and following year came back and
gone.
Went looking for it, and I looked at Kelly, and she looked at me. And I said, "This was the tree, right?" Because I remember that stump. And
right.
Oh yeah, it was gone. I'm like,
that's sad. That's sad.
You're right, Billy. Bears eat cameras up there too.
First camera I ever had was an old Moultrie, and actually, it's here in the cabin somewhere over there.
Okay.
I'll dig it out one day. I think it's over there. If it's not over there, it's out in the garage. But this thing was like literally, this big. This would have been in
the M60. It's about this big. Takes D's.
Yep.
M60.
It would have been like 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere right in there. First bear hunt I did. Bought that camera, put the camera out, strapped it to a tree, went back to get pictures. A week or two later, camera's gone. I'm like, okay. And we're hunting off of a creek. I mean, the creek wasn't any wider than this table right here, and about that deep. But needless to say, we were hunting right there by some water, and I looked down, and it's laying right at the edge of the creek. Wasn't in the water, but it was right at it, And I'm like, okay, so why is it not on the tree? Well, I pulled the pictures and see a bear closer, see a face, see a nose, and then see the ground.
You know what? That is so true. They're very inquisitive. And matter of fact, I do have one of those Moultrie cameras.
Okay.
And I have to admit, it's one of my best working ones.
Yeah.
Even though it takes D's.
Right.
But it's still one of the best working ones that I have.
It took great pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it comes up against the bear, it kind of loses.
Well, that's when I took and built a bear-proof housing for it.
There you go.
I got an ammo can.
So,
and used a metal cutter and cut the face of the camera out,
okay.
So it could actually, it wouldn't fall out, but you could actually get pictures through it,
Right.
And then I took and cut a slot in it and used a ratchet strap that was about that big, about this wide, 2.5, 3 inch wide strap that they use to ratchet lumber on a semi with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I put it on a tree with. It lasted.
There you go.
So,
Lincoln says Covert has a camera with signal boosters they're using in Newaygo this year.
Okay.
So I'm sure with technologies getting out there, it's getting better.
I've heard a lot of good things about Covert. We're not affiliated with anybody for trail cameras.
Nope. And just like Billy said, Spy Point's got one.
Yep.
Covert's got one.
I've looked at Spy Point cammers.
I think Spartan has them.
Spartan, yeah, I've looked at Spartan. I like Spartan's technology as well. Covert's got some good cameras. But, the bang for the buck, I mean, when you're talking about just a point-and-shoot camera, I really like the Brownings.
Yeah, you like the Brownings.
Yeah, I've had really good luck with them, and I still want to try the Cabela cameras. I know you use those. It's just when I've got, $150, $200 to spend, which isn't very often, and that's comparable, the Cabelas to the Browning, and I'm just like, I know Danny likes these, but I know the Brownings work.
Exactly.
And it's always that tug of war of which one do I want to buy.
Yep. You just got to go out and.
But you started with the Cabela's.
I got 3 Cabela's. I got 2 black flash, 1 white flash.
The thing I like about that with the Cabela's is the fact if something goes wrong, you take it back, lifetime warranty.
You better believe it. That's what I'm waiting for. If I need to, I'm going to take it back and get the lifetime warranty, and that's one of the things that's one of the selling points.
Right.
So
I had my first Browning go down. It's been in the field 4 years.
Okay.
4 seasons I've had it out, and I generally put mine out in March or April, 1st of May, and I let them run until December. I really should let them run all year, but I just don't. Something I need to try to do. Leave a couple out, just see how they last through the winter. But I leave them out quite a bit, and like I said, we had the first one go down, and then that same year we bought 3 for camp, and one of those went down. So out of that first batch, we've had 2 of them go, and they went at the same time.
There you go. So, but yeah. So speaking of bears,
Yeah, speaking of bears.
I decided to pull, so I put up some cameras and I was pulling them every 2 days. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, one of my fields, this little guy came in, and this looks like the guy that visited camp. He looked about the same size.
Just a little feller.
Yeah. He came into camp. I could tell the paws are his dead giveaway. They're,
right.
The one I was feet away from looking out the window at the cabin.
Yeah.
They had the same kind of paws.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's probably him because he was actually on the north side of the property when he came into this camera area. And
I like this picture right here.
The one looking at the camera going to take a picture of me?
Yeah.
The one that I didn't send you that besides that, right? See that tree in the background a little bit to the left?
Yeah.
Well, there's a picture of him laying right there.
Okay.
So he came and ate and went and laid down.
Laid down. Okay. So, now, is this a clearing that we've seen before?
This is off to the side of that clearing.
Okay.
If I would be standing in the clearing.
Okay.
And I face the camera. I put the camera to the sun, back of the sun, so I don't get the sun in the camera.
Gotcha. Yep.
So, and there's this perfect stump that I put on some minerals, and then I added a mineral block as I left this year.
Okay.
So something ate the stump and was eating it, and it's probably raccoon.
Okay.
Got a picture of him too, but then yeah. So then that was across the north side of the property, and then mere 50 yards from the camp was this guy.
Okay.
He's a much bigger bear.
Yeah.
And this is 10 o'clock in the morning. So I figured we were probably standing at camp talking, and he was maybe 50 yards away down the trail eating some corn.
Okay, so now this is on a trail camera.
Yep.
I forgot because I zoomed into these pictures a little bit, and I thought that this had the trail cameras tags on the bottom.
Yeah, and this is 10 o'clock in the morning, and he came in and was just surveying the situation, and, he didn't go far. He just decided, you know what, I'm just going to sit down and eat.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, that's a pretty decent sized bear. I liked. If I had I don't know how tough it would be to get him, but
well, right there looks like a pretty good shot.
Well, yeah, that'd be a good shot. So with so
is that one.
Yeah,
if you're where the camera's at.
So and there again, that right there is where I did put some. I put some seed down there, and. Some of it came up. I don't know exactly all of it came up. It was my smorgasbord field where I just had leftover of just about all the seed that I had and other seed, and I just threw it out. So if it grew, it grew. Yeah,
you asked me before we went on the show, looking at that one there, how big I thought he was. And I was like, 200, 225 maybe. It's, typical Michigan black bear. And good indicator is the ears.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first tip off.
And his ears stick up quite a bit. So I don't think he's not a big bear.
I think that's the best picture I got, I think, of him facing, where he kind of showed you that his ears are on the small side to his head. Right. And that's a pretty good indication. It's like, okay, he's a decent bear that I would not want to run into. Yeah. And I know he was not the one in camp.
Yeah. So so this is about the average size you see up at your place? Generally, or do you have? Do you got any 400 or 500 pound bears?
The two big bears that I've seen, this one and the one in 2014, are about this size. Okay. And the other two that I've seen, the little bear and the cub that I jumped, were on the smaller side. But these are the two big bears. This is probably the biggest bear I've seen on the property.
Okay. Yeah, we typically see a lot of this size at our place. Of that size, but we've seen them much bigger too.
Right, and I imagine if I set up a bear site, we probably could get some more. I would definitely move it from where it's at. Right now, he's kind of
that's out in the open.
Yeah, there's definitely some better spots I'd pick. And matter of fact, we had lasagna one night, and we had leftovers, so there is now some lasagna in that area.
Okay.
So we'll see if he likes lasagna.
I would say he probably would. There's something that I just bet he would.
Right. So, but it was good to see the bears on trail camera. Not excited to see them in camp, but it is what it is. Okay. When you're out in nature, that's the things you're going to happen. I saw the two bears on camera. I got pics of deer, some fawns.
Yeah, see, that's something you didn't send me any pictures of the deer.
Yeah, no.
You're hiding them?
Everybody knows what a fawn looks like. Not too many people get up close with a person with a bear.
Well, you should have sent some fawn pictures.
And
the
one picture I do have of the bear is the little guy. You could see his ear in the first picture, and I almost thought that would have been the time we lost the camera, but you didn't pay attention to it, I guess.
Oh, okay. I did see. Yeah, there was one picture I didn't transfer over.
Right, and that was his ear.
That was an ear. Okay.
I was like, oh. And then the next picture, he was on the corn. But
good stuff.
It was just. I tell you what, it's just a week up there when you see bald eagles, bears, deer. Listening to grouse drum.
Did you get a chance to talk to your DNR biologist?
Nope,
didn't see him.
Didn't see him in town, and I didn't go to town much. It was kind of nice. It was just hit and miss. Actually, I went up to the little store, got some ice cream.
Did you bring some back for the bear?
No, I made sure I ate it before I got it back to the bear.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to step outside here. Take our second break. We're bumping up on it here, so we'll step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show.
And comment from Fred Trusky. Bears are a pain in Manistee County.
They get a little pesky at our place, too.
You know what? Yep.
Speaking of bears, let's stay on a tangent here on bears for just a second.
Okay. Did
you get a survey from the Michigan DNR on bears this last week? Or week before.
I didn't see one in the mail.
I got one. It was a general survey. It was talking about bear seasons, bear hunting, bears in general, and habitat, and it was quite lengthy.
Yeah.
And I got sent one, so I took some time and put it together. And I guess the one complaint that I have is I wish they would split the Red Oak Bear Management Unit up into two sections.
It's pretty big, isn't it?
It's huge. In the area we're in, what they call clubland.
Okay.
It's bigger tracts of land, and you don't have as many people, if you think about it, probably hunting it as you would, smaller parcels where there's, families hunting those smaller parcels.
Okay.
More hunters per square mile, I guess.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm guessing. And I don't know this, I don't have any facts to back me up on it, but that's just what I perceive.
Okay.
We're covered up in bear. That whole area has got a good number of bear, and sometimes things get a little hairy.
Well, you got some. I know you got a big garbage bin out there, and I'm sure.
Yeah,
that's like here bear, here bear.
Well, there's a gentleman that's part of our co-op that lives. Well, as a crow flies, it's probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles at the most, but it takes 10 miles to get there. You got to go up and around and back around. But he has to take his front end loader and put the bucket down on the dumpster every night, or the bear gets in it and throws everything out. So, yeah, they've learned.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They'll know where to go.
Yeah,
and they'll keep coming back.
But that's the one thing I guess that I complained, made known is it takes us about 10 years now to draw a tag. It's a highly coveted area.
It's kind of ironic that it takes you that long to get a bear tag, but yet you got that many bear.
Right.
So
yeah, and part of it was, do we want to see bear habitat improved in the southern part of the state so bears will start to migrate south? I don't care one way or the other. I know people down here don't want to see them. Probably.
I was gonna say why.
Yeah, I don't know. See, that's I didn't. They had a whole section of questions on that, and I was wondering what their
was it this week, past week, or was it earlier?
When the thing come out?
Yeah, it came in the mail.
No, it was an email.
Oh no, I didn't get one.
Let me see if I can find it.
Because Why would you pose a question?
I don't know.
Why would you want to bring
I thought it was
bear
interesting that they brought that
into
up.
a more populated area?
I don't know.
You're asking for trouble.
It's a good question.
That kind of worries me. Hey, look at Tom Gensel's been listening to Tim Cius, and he's a hoot, and he's ready for a snipe hunt.
Tim Cius, I gotta take her for a snipe hunt for you.
See, and he's ready. He says, "Come on down." But anyways, that's an interesting. Why would?
I'm trying to find it here.
You know, it just goes to.
It was on Monday.
Okay.
They sent this out Monday. Yeah, it says. Let me see. Let me just read
That's kind of
intro to it.
I don't know. Why would you even ask the question?
I don't know.
Because when we get a bear to come down south, anyways, it's all over the news.
Right. Share your opinions on future bear management. Michigan's home to an estimated 12,000 adult black bear. To guide bear management throughout the state, the DNR, with assistance from tribes and many other are interested in maintaining a healthy black bear population. They developed the state's first bear management plan in 2009. And I thought that seems a little late. It wasn't until 2009 that they developed a management plan. I was surprised at that.
It seems awful late.
That's what they said.
Well, it depends, I guess, what you consider plan.
And now the DNR is working to revise a plan and is encouraging the public for help. A questionnaire, and I got the link to it here, has been developed to capture opinions, which will be accepted until July 31st, 2018. The plan we have been operating under for almost 10 years has been a great tool. And the DNR specialist, Kevin Swanson, we want to make sure that the plan is still meeting the state and other needs or determine if changes are needed to ensure thriving bear population for future generations.
So what they're saying is basically, they're asking their opinion. What do you think? If do you want to see them more in the south? They're probably looking for an answer.
Yeah. Well, they said the current plan's objectives include the one that they're going under now: maintaining a sustainable bear population, providing hunting opportunities, and minimizing bear-related conflicts.
Right. So
But yeah, that's their questionnaire. I'll send it to you.
But yep. Got to keep those bears in check. That's for sure. Or just like you said, you get a big dumpster like that. That's just like a buffet.
Right. So would I mind seeing a bear down this way? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd feel different if they were here. I don't know.
Well,
I'm used to seeing them up north.
Look what we have now. We got coyotes in the area.
Yeah.
And we hear stories about little dogs and cats getting taken, or somebody seeing a coyote in the wrong spot. Mm-hmm. One thing I didn't hear this week was coyotes or wolves.
You didn't hear any up at the place?
Didn't hear any. And I was out there. I wasn't
see
out there
tracks?
too late.
Or scat?
No, I didn't see anything, actually. There was a couple tracks that might have been coyote, but no, didn't hear anything. It was, and think about that. What if the wolf population came down here?
Yeah. I think a lot more of them get shot.
Oh, yeah, you know it. So, but no, it was quiet on that front, which seeing the fawns, but seeing the bears, I don't know if there was enough food and the fawns got through the predators. So that was all right. Okay.
Fred says they're protecting too many bears in the Baldwin unit. Yeah, and I feel the same thing over in Red Oak as well. Just at least from my perspective at our place.
Right.
That's really the only perspective I have.
And if it takes 13 points to get yours, or
10?
10?
Yeah, I've got 11 now. I just chose. Well, you and I, we talked about doing a bear hunt this year, but it didn't pan out timing wise.
So if you
cost and everything,
going by points and everything. And Ron Moses says Yotes and Fenton. Yep. I hear them. I had them run through the backyard. It's just there's every once in a while I'll catch one darting through the woods, and you can tell.
Yep.
Well,
I was out in the back field here last week sometime. Earlier in the week, I was out doing some shooting, duffed an arrow, and went through my backstop. So when it goes through the backstop, I got to go into the field and look behind. And there was a big coyote scat pile. Okay. And it had fur in it. So it wasn't a dog.
Right.
It was coyote. It was a coyote. There's no tracks because there was grass and stuff. Couldn't see a track. But I've seen enough coyote scat to know it was coyote. And I'm like, haven't heard any here in a long while. But it's like, okay, so he's prowling. He's prowling around, And I don't know if it's a mom out searching for fawns, because that's great fawning cover behind my house.
Oh,
right
that whole area back there.
So,
oh my gosh, yeah.
I don't know if she was out, prowling if it was a female, for pups, to drag back to the den. We've heard stories about that and seen trail cam photos. everybody's got them,
right?
Of that happening. So,
yeah, no, it's. I'm glad to see the fawns that I did. So that means they got past the initial bear thing,
right? Okay.
And
do you typically see like late drop fawns at your place?
Sometimes we do. Yeah, it's every once in a while we'll catch a really small one.
Do you ever see fawns like at the very beginning of bow season with spots? Still with spots?
Not typically.
Okay.
Not up there.
So you don't get like that third rut.
No, I don't think we do. I think they're picked off by then.
Okay.
I think they. I don't think I've seen anything with spots in October.
Okay. I got a trail cam photo of them at our place.
And we talked about that on Friday night with Tim and the third rut and how that works but up at our place it's survival of the fittest, obviously, and I don't know if everybody gets bred. That's the thing.
Okay.
Which would surprise me if they didn't, with the amount of spikes that I had last year.
Okay.
But then again, I don't know what the predation takes. So
how much predation takes place?
Right.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll tell you what. You want to save everything here for the last segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else on the trip that was earth-shattering, exciting?
No, not really.
Just relaxed?
Oh, yeah, definitely relaxed.
You ready to go back to work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Batteries recharged?
No.
You're not ready to go back to work?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, Ron Moses was late coming to the show because he was chowing down on prime rib.
Oh, man, if I'd known that, way to come over to your house.
I was going to say, we could have done the show from your dining room table.
Right on. So, all right, I tell you what, we're going to step outside. We're going to take our last break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about some deer management that we talked about with a friend on Friday night. And
yeah.
Expand on that maybe just a little bit. So, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Last segment
of the show.
Good to have you back in the seat.
I'm glad to be back in the seat.
Although I was ready to bring somebody else in for you last week.
I know you were, but...
I had Tim Cia sitting on the sidelines waiting.
That's what I heard. He was ready on pins and needles. He was waiting for the go.
He was there warming up, man, throwing passes. He's put me on, coach. I'm ready.
But then we made connection.
Yes. So...
But, it's one of those things. I wish I could get better signal from the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
It's going to be interesting this year. I'm going to have a couple times I'm going to be up north for extended period. And I'm wondering if we're going to be able to pull off doing basically a reverse show. You'll be here, but I can take gear up with me when we do it via Skype.
Right.
And you'll be in the Danny cabin.
I'll be in the Danny cabin, and you'll be at the...
Deer cabin.
The lodge.
Yeah, so.
Lucas Brown. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Lucas?
So. So I get back and get on Tim's show Friday night.
Yep.
And talking does.
They were. West Virginia, they were talking does.
Okay.
And I got to imagine, we all hear a lot of different things from different regions across the United States and deer management styles. And I just saw earlier that Wayne Sitton had tuned in. I don't know if he's still on with us on the live stream or not, but I know they've done research, a lot of research in Michigan. They've done it in Pennsylvania and Texas. And it's all kind of pretty much the same basic information, as far as deer management and buck-to-doe ratios and, the ruts and the fawning and all that kind of stuff. And,
So, like you said, the fawning. But the fawning part of it, you got to go back to the fall.
Right. Go back to the rut. Go back to your buck-to-doe ratios. And that's what they were talking about on Tim's show, On the Limb, which is Friday nights at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9 o'clock. He live streams over On the Limb. Go to Facebook. Yep. Check out his Facebook page, On the Limb. And they were talking about, the rut there in West Virginia, and talking about, seeing a second rut when the second rut kicks in, or seeing fawns, fawns being bred in that second or late rut. And so, excuse me, I kind of threw in my 2 cents worth,
Well, it was your 2 cents worth, but it was also who it was. You originally, we learned this stuff from the people.
We've learned it from Dr. James Kroll and Wayne and Luke sitting here in Michigan, and we've learned it from QDMA and the things that we've learned and studied on. And getting back to the buck to doe ratios, if it's askew, you've got more does than you need, more than really the habitat and the herd can sustain.
Exactly. And
then you get extended ruts.
Yes, and you mention his name and he shows up, by the way. Luke Sitton showed up.
Hey, Luke, what's going on?
And,
so, Luke, correct me here as we're talking if I've got some of this wrong.
Right. So, it all starts with that. And one thing QDMA has mentioned was, hey, Michigan, you don't shoot enough does.
Right. You're not shooting enough does.
Kip, that was like one of the first things when they were looking at it, says, wow, that's odd.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but getting back to, if does don't get bred and that first rut, that first cycle, first estrus cycle, they go into the second one. Okay, your bucks are still chasing. Your bucks still aren't taking time to recover yet because they're still chasing.
Yep,
there's still does that need to be bred. There's that second cycle, so they're not replenishing their body fat.
They don't have time
because they got one thing on their mind.
Yep, and
they're a dude,
and it's not eating.
Yeah, exactly, it's not eating. So. Is that extends, in the case at our place, we've seen even that third rut, which is definitely not good. It pushes them even further into the winter season. And then with their bodies being depleted, not having enough fat stores, they wind up being susceptible to pneumonia. And from what we saw at the deer health check, they taught us a lot of these bucks are dying due to pneumonia later in the season because they can't get those energy stores replenished.
Exactly. And that's the thing that, they do eat, but they don't take the time out to get all the nourishment they need.
Right.
And so you get into that third cycle, and then, so then from that point, so you have does going that long. Wait, that means you got too many does. That's what we learned. So now, like you said, now you take your bucks, let's separate the bucks now and say, okay, now you guys are weakened. You're not eating, haven't been eating as much, and now we're going to throw winter at you.
Right. So they've got that to deal with. Okay, so you got that working against you. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Talking about the age class of does. Once we get them herds, they're too big. The doe herd's getting too big. You've got a lot of older age class does. What I've seen for the 4 deer health checks that I've been at, as well as other things that I've read and seen from different people in the industry. They talk about those older does typically will throw twin doe fawns, which exacerbates the problem. Okay, so now you've got old does breeding more does, and it just starts to compound. Okay, so that's why we want to shoot off our older age groups.
But now, if you go and at the health check, we saw with the younger does, what did we see? That it threw a buck fawn. Okay,
and that's what some of the guys on Tim's show was talking about. Well, we get into that second rut, we start to see fawns getting bred. The reason being, and this was in the QDMA deer steward class, that fawns, they need to reach about 80 pounds weight to become mature enough to breed. Okay. For them, I guess it has something to do with the hormones and everything kicking in, that weight. It's just like us humans, they don't become into their menstrual cycle until a certain age. Well, animals the same way. That's that weight class that they have to hit. Okay, so that's why it's later in the season. It depends on the habitat. Better the habitat, the quicker they're going to put weight on.
Right. So if they were dropped in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, it's about 6 months out. So that puts them about 6 months worth of months to put on enough weight to become mature enough to be bred. So if you take a later deer that got maybe July, gets later. So it's kind of you're putting the puzzle together.
Yep.
Maybe we need a whiteboard or something.
Right. Well, let's throw a little bit of habitat into this now. Okay. Let's talk about the amount of deer on your property and the habitat. The more deer you have in the property, the less habitat there is, and the more they eat. Right. If you keep your doe numbers down or your deer numbers down in check in that carrying capacity, you've got more habitat for them to feed on if you've got the right habitat. So the does that breed and drop fawns have better food sources. Make sense?
Yep.
Which means they produce more milk. The more milk they produce, the heavier these younger deer get quicker. Okay?
Right.
Makes sense?
Absolutely.
So if we got these little does that grow quicker, then they can get into the breeding pool faster. And if they do, typically, we've seen at the deer health checks, about 80-85% of the time, they will throw a single buck fawn. So that, in turn, flips in our favor of the buck-to-doe ratio. So it all works together.
Okay, so you mentioned that, the bucks and the does, and we're spreading out the fawning season. But if we get our numbers in check, we don't.
Right.
And Lincoln says here, the extremely late fawns makes more of them susceptible to predation.
Absolutely. And this was the thing I was trying to use hamburgers as an example to teach Tim. We talked about this. And he said, good, put it into food terms that I can understand. And what we were talking about is, okay, so if you've got first rut, second rut, third rut, those are spread out by 28 days, right? So you've got 3 distinct cycles. Let's just, for number's sake, so it's easier to understand, let's say we've got 100 fawns being born. Okay, that's just the number it's going to be. But let's say a third of those does were bred in November. The other third was bred in December. And then, wow, we had so many does. We had another third of them in January.
Yep.
So we've got 100 fawns being put on the ground. Instead of putting 100 fawns on the ground in late May,
all at once,
we've got, let's just say 33, 33, and 33. Now, if I come to you and I've got 33 hamburgers and I say, you've got a month to eat these, and in another month I'm going to give you 33 more. And that's one a day, right?
Yeah, it's one a day. Basically, I'm just going to sit there and have one a day.
Okay.
Make it last to June.
So now, I mean, not that coyotes are really working that way, but I'm just talking about predation in general. But if I come out and say, here's 100 hamburgers and I need you to eat them, you're not going to be able to eat all 100 of them. So your survival rate is going to be greater.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. If we were to say, okay, all you predators, you have the month of June or May.
That's it.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm. But if I take them and split them up and trickle them out over time, they're more susceptible to being for predation.
Plus, knowing that the predators will stick around, right? So then the way they are is they're going to go where the food's at. So if you cut the food off June 1st, they're out of there.
Okay, getting back to the milk. Wayne Sitton just chimed in. He's got something here. He says, milk production is based on amount of intake. Quality of milk is based on quality of habitat. Better, higher fat content of milk produces better body fat and growth on fawns. So people miss the milk versus milk quality equation. Okay, makes sense to me. The intake's one thing, but it's like, I guess, eating a bunch of candy or eating your vegetables.
Right.
So having the right habitat.
Right habitat, as according to Wayne, produces quality.
And we had a video that he did for me when we were at camp last time back in May. We showed one night here, and he talked about what's out in the forest versus what's on the food plot, and that really opened my eyes to the fact of a food plot reducing predation by keeping the does closer to the food source. When you have a food plot, there's more usable food, quality food there. Remember the hula hoop?
The hula hoop.
Versus being out in the forest where there's less of it. You know, and he was saying it would take, he threw that hula hoop out in the middle of the forest, and he found, I think it was 9 things in that hula hoop that
there was
would
9
eat.
things in the hula hoop.
And he threw it in the food plot, and he said everything in there is what a deer will eat, and that'll replenish.
Right.
Okay. So it'd take 100 to 150 hula hoops out there to equal that one in that field. So if you think about it, she's out there walking around more trying to find that same amount of food. She's away from her fawn longer, and that increases the chance of that fawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
eaten by a predator.
It goes to show you taking care of your habitat is important. And you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed there was a pine tree by the garage, and the needles, all the ends of the needles were eaten away.
At your place?
Yep.
Okay.
Which kind of shocked me, because when you turn around and look and go, there's a whole bunch of food out there.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. If they had that late weather we did have,
mm-hmm.
they're probably panicking a little bit and saying, I got to eat something.
Well, up there, that you get your snow stays on a lot longer.
Absolutely.
Up there in the UP versus where we're at there in the northern Lower Peninsula.
Yep. So that kind of shocked me seeing that. It was just like, wow.
Now, before we started learning all this stuff, how soon would you have ever paid attention to that?
Nope.
You know,
my cousin Dennis pointed. They goes, hey, look at this. They're eating the ends of the pine tree, and it was right by the door. I was like, yep.
So see, spreading the word, and that's what we're trying to do: spread the word.
And I tell you what, the does are smart. Whether they're when we drove up to the house, my cousin's house, the camp, there was a doe laying down right next to the house. The bed, if you put her in that, she was laying up against the cement block.
She's staying cool.
Okay.
Laying in the shade.
Right. So then, that was the one day. Next day, I come back, and I come down the hill, and he's got a shed that he stores the wood in. Mm-hmm. So I turned my range around, and I came up right in front of that door, and I heard a god-awful commotion. And I look over, there's a doe in the woodshed. And there was one window out the back, and it went out the back.
Really?
When I first heard the noise, I looked over, and all I saw was a butt with legs and wood flying, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it? And then I caught her going, she got through the door, and then she was gone. Come to find out, Dennis goes, what was that? I said, that was a deer. Come to find out, she came back the next day. She was laying on the dirt inside the shed.
Staying cool?
Staying cool. The second time Dennis surprised her, she didn't go through the window. She came right out at him.
Yeah. It's like, I remember that last time. I'm not going through there again.
Right. But that just goes to show you that, they're resilient at what they need to do.
Well, at our camp, I was talking with one of my buddies up there who lives up there. And he came in one afternoon, and he looked back. He's got a trailer parked in behind a cabin. And he looked back there. There's 3 fawns under the trailer in the shade.
In the shade.
Just hanging out in the shade. And I've seen doe quite a few times up at our place. There's a building across the little pond, and there's a little alcove on that front porch, and it's concrete, and they'll lay in that shade on that concrete as well. Yeah, they find places. They know where to go. They know where it's safe and where they can stay cool and stay.
It was amazing. It was just, I would never in 100 years think inside the woodshed.
Yeah.
But I went in there, and you could see where exactly she was laying down, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, they are. They're resilient, and they find a place. That's where they go.
Yeah, so having a good habitat and maybe making them a house or two would be nice.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, definitely. And that's why, I got it logged. It was time. It was over 20 years since it was logged.
Right. So. And you see what happened. I mean, we showed pictures last week of his place.
Yep.
And what's going on up there and how quickly it rejuvenated. So it's just what you need to do. And it's just like going back to what Wayne Sitton just said, habitat is key. It's not only the intake, getting the amount of food into them. I mean, you said pine needle. Well, if they fill their stomach full of pine needles, is that good? No. You want to give them what they need to make milk.
Yep.
And that's one of the things we do about planting food plots. And, I'm learning more about forbs now and natural forbs that they eat and then the deer browse and all that. Trying to put all this together and make it work.
It's a big, giant puzzle.
It is. It's a lot of work.
It's nature's puzzle, and she can throw a wrench in it at any time, whether it be forest fire, flood, snowstorm. It's an amazing thing, and it's one very adaptable animal as far as the bears too.
Well, it just shows you how resilient deer really are.
Right.
I mean, they've lived. How many years they've been on this earth. And they still seem to carve out their existence and keep pushing through.
And also with a little help of man too, though.
Yep.
We almost drove them out of here and tried to shoot everything.
Yep.
I said, hold on, time out. We got to fix that.
Yep.
So hopefully, as we go to and trying to get that into the people's heads and just trying to educate people.
Yep. That's what it's all about.
From the Wayne Sittons, Dr. Deer, and learning from
Lincoln's group,
learning from all those people and taking it all in and come up with it and formulate your own opinion. Mm-hmm. But just don't,
And before we go tonight, the one thing I want to say, I mean, we talked a lot about the beginning of the show about the meeting coming up in Lansing, the NRC meeting. We talked a little bit about deer management here in the last segment of the show, in different groups, and everybody's got an agenda. I mean, let's pull no punches. Everybody's got their own way and methods of wanting to see things done.
Right.
But what I've seen lately, and is very important, is the fact that the people who really care about deer management, they all have a different way maybe of approaching things, but we're starting to see these groups come together on the things that they hold in common. and they're pushing forward to make it better.
You know, and in Lincoln Road, hey, thanks for the comment about sharing good information. Well done. We try. But Lincoln Road said it too. The other groups in the state of Michigan finally got to kind of sat down, talked, whatever, and said, we have a common basis.
The light switch went on.
And so let's push the commonality and go from there.
You know, but the one thing I've said, you give all of us enough time, you put us all in a room together, it doesn't take long, and we're all throwing sand at each other and throwing our toys at each other because we can't get along. But that's the thing we need to stop doing and start bringing everybody together. Find out what we have in common and work on those.
Absolutely. And this isn't just Michigan.
No.
This is every state that's got any kind of population of wildlife.
Right.
Whether you're dealing with moose, elk, deer, bear.
Well, you know what? Okay, we got Lincoln's on and Wayne's on watching, and I believe Luke is too. Danny and I, before the show started tonight, we were talking about something, and we didn't know the answer to, and I'm kind of scratching our heads here. But we've got CWD in Wisconsin. We've got it in Pennsylvania. We got it in Michigan. Now it's in Jackson County. Allegedly, it's not been proven positive yet by Ames, Iowa.
Oh, yep.
But they've got a suspect down there, and if so, that puts it down on the border near Ohio, and close to Indiana. Why, instead of each state trying to solve the problem on their own, why don't the Great Lakes area get a coalition, or you said a consortium together, put all their heads together and battle this from a regional point of view?
Well, because deer abide by state lines.
Yeah. Okay. They all got a license plate. Tells what state they're from.
They won't go past the Ohio-Michigan border. No, you're right, and that's the thing. It's like you said, it's getting to Jackson, not proven yet. So is Ohio looking at it?
They've had a case, I believe, in 2017 in a captive deer.
Do they have an emergency response program? Does it mimic what happens in Michigan, or
does Indiana have? What do other states have? And why aren't states talking? Why aren't states getting together and putting like a wholesale plan together regionally?
Or is it one of those things, kind of like you said,
can't play in the sandbox?
Can't play in the same. Well, we don't want to copy their plan because we need to make our own plan.
Michigan's copying Wisconsin's.
Yeah, I know.
Allegedly.
So it is what it is, and all we can do is, like Lincoln said, let your voice be heard, and hopefully things happen.
Go to the NRC meeting if you got the opportunity. If you can get the day off work, I know a lot of people work. If you can go, it matters. I'm not going to be able to be there, but this is my way of getting this out.
I do believe they will be live streaming it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a whole other subject. They need to do a better job. Whoever puts that on, they need to do a better job.
Right. So
I know two guys who would do a better job at live streaming that.
Right.
I think we could talk to those two guys and come up with a plan and make it easier to watch and listen to. Yes. So
if that's a word,
just saying.
But yep. No, it's an interesting thing. Just like the other thing we talked about the grouse in the West Nile. Stay tuned about that. I'll wait for the
give that nugget you gave me earlier before the show on that. We'll end the show on that point.
Yeah. So. Just a friend of mine over in Wisconsin writing an article talking about grouse and West Nile. They got a blip of West Nile and a grouse or something of that nature. I don't know the whole details yet because I haven't seen the article. It hasn't come out yet. But this is the tease I got. So what Wisconsin did was instituted an emergency plan, and they're cutting the grouse season short over there. And Michigan and Minnesota seen the same blip and not doing anything about it.
So which one's right and which one's wrong?
There you go. So,
or is there a little give and take both ways?
Right.
And why aren't the three states talking to each other?
It's a whole nother thing.
Or maybe they have. I don't know. So that's a question I got. Tim Cias just says that could be used population control in each state, trying to isolate it in one area. In West Virginia, we have it in 4 counties
in the Eastern
Panhandle. Wayne just says Wisconsin doesn't follow Wisconsin's plan. That's the problem. But my question is are they talking to each other, and do they work together? That's the question. I have no idea.
I revert back to my own personal experience where I work.
Mm-hmm.
You take them, you put them all in the same room, you give them all the same information, and when they walk out the doors, everybody's got a different opinion. Mm-hmm. And you go, what did you guys just not see? And you go, and then you start talking to them individually. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, well, that works. And then the next person says, oh, that doesn't work. It's like, did we not see the same presentation?
But maybe there's a reason why it doesn't work for that person in their situation. Maybe there's something different. Maybe over here it works for this person because their situation's a little different. Well, if these 4 states have this, share the information and talk to each other and figure out why it works or doesn't work in those areas.
I think it has to do with a little bit of pride and a little bit of...
I fully agree. I think you're spot on. And why they're not talking to each other, if they are, I want to know.
And it's a very interesting concept.
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
You think so?
I think they're just deriving a different opinion from it, based on it could be anything from
money,
opinion, egos, and money.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of all that in there.
Oh, you already know my theory on that one. So.
Right. So, but no, good discussion tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It was good to end that.
Right. Michael.
Okay, do that. There we go.
Yeah.
But no, good discussion as always. And you know what? It's just, we'll see come Thursday. Or actually, I think it's August. Thursday's the meeting. Mm-hmm. Then August, I think they draw the line in the sand with what they're going to do.
Right. Well, I think there's another private opportunity for co-op leaders. The meeting that I've already signed up for it. I don't know if you're going yet or not, but co-op leaders have been invited to a workshop. And from what I heard, the NRC is actually going to be there to talk with those people. So that there will be one last opportunity. That's where I'm going to try to make my voice be heard at that opportunity. That's the one chance I'm going to have. So
yep, and
we'll see.
Right.
I hear you. I hear you, Lincoln. I hear you. You guys just go over and read the comments on the live stream.
Yeah.
So
anyways, it was a good discussion. Always good to talk deer. Good week of seeing deer. Good week of seeing
bear, eagles,
forest reproducing, getting the young growth going.
Are you learning anything up there with what you're doing?
Yeah, I grew something. I am happy with that.
That's cool.
That is. I'm ecstatic. We're gonna work on it some more. Probably come Labor Day, throw some more stuff out, and I'll learn more as we go.
All right. I want to give a quick shout out to Lincoln Roan and to Wayne Sutton, Luke Sutton. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys being on. Appreciate the input you guys give us and keeping us on track. There's just so much information that a lot of times it's hard for me to get the little tiny bits and pieces. The thing about the milk production and the intake versus the fat content and all that, the quality, that was spot on, Wayne. Thanks. I appreciate it.
It goes back to like vitamin D milk, right?
Right.
Do you want to eat do you want them to have vitamin D or 0%?
So it's all great information, and we're just trying to share information with you guys out there to hopefully make you better stewards of the land and stewards of the resources and the deer, and get a healthy deer population going. So everything's good.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, we're going to sign up on the podcast right now. We'll keep the live stream up here for a few minutes, but on the podcast side, if you guys got anything that you want to share with us, you can always email us. Hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, any of those social media platforms. So that'll do it for us this week, folks. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Winsent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.